Hi everybody, Zach here for another episode of our flagship program, The Spideydude Experience. This episode is brought to you by our loyal patrons over at patreon.com/Spideydude Network. Pledge today and get both early access to content on the main channel, as well as entirely exclusive content, like brand new shows and commentaries for old Spidey stuff, including commentaries for the MTV series, for example, as well as the video editions for Voices from the Eyrie Gargoyles Podcast. And our Patreon first show focused on the Krakoan era of X-Men. We also want to encourage you to check out our other programs that are all available on Audio Edition. These are all over on Spideydude.com, and they're available on your favorite podcasting app. Shows like Clone Saga Chronicles, the show that started this entire network, Spectacular Radio, Spectacular Sal Buscema era podcast, Amazing Spider-Man Classics, the Slot Symposium, and the sister program on this channel, Make Mine Mayday. As always, be sure to hit the like button. It really does help us big time in the algorithm. And additionally, if you have topics you'd like to cover on a live show or in a recorded medium, make sure to leave a comment down below the description or shoot us an email at SpideydudeRadioNetwork@gmail.com. Finally, make sure to join our community. Be alerted to all new updates by hitting that subscribe button and clicking on the bell. But to be clear, your viewership is more than enough for us. And if you want to hang out with us off YouTube, you can always go to our Discord, where we have all sorts of fun stuff, or you can join us on our social medias and follow us there. All the links are down in the description below. As always, we want to be making some references to visual aids and or live comments. If you're an audio listener, pay that no mind, but leave that 5-star review for us. Any and all feedback we will read on future episodes. Thank you, and without further ado, let's get rolling with this episode of the Spideydude Experience. And welcome to another episode on the Spideydude Experience. It is officially the season premiere of Season 5 of the Spideydude Experience. You see the new thumbnail here up on the screen if you're watching us live on YouTube. And as always, I am joined by the man that is on nearly every episode of the Spideydude Experience, Adam. Hello, Adam.
Hi.
And the man that designed this very thumbnail and all of our fun graphics we have here on the Spideydude Radio Network, Neil Bogenrieder. Hello, Neil.
Hi.
And welcoming back to the show, the resident grump of the comments section himself, Walter. Hello, Walter.
It's great,
Walter.
guys.
Walter's audio is for audio listeners, he's got something that says jackpot emblazoned across it. So that's fun. Doing it just to troll me, apparently. Hello, Mr. Jackpot. Well, until your audio starts working. Yeah. Oh, looky who's in the chat right now. We got Sarah. Hello, Sarah.
Friend of the show, Sarah. Hello.
Hello, hello, Sarah. Well, you got to join us live here on the show, which is always nice.
Also, if my audio doesn't sound so crackdenish, I think it's because my input for the last several episodes has been tuned to my webcam microphone and not my actual one. And yeah, I turned down the gain a little bit on my microphone, so hopefully I've solved the problem.
Yeah.
If not, you can call me Crackden Audio Bogenrieder, and we'll live with it.
Well, I realized a couple episodes ago that I was halfway through that I was using the MacBook mic, not this mic. So
I wish there was a way to like permanently save it.
Yeah,
because it does that sometimes with Discord too.
Agreed.
So
we also got Vinkman in the chat. Hello, Vinkman. Hello, ha ha ha. Make that your nickname, Sarah says.
Crackden Audio Neil.
Yep.
Okay. I'll do it. Don't think I won't.
So, okay, I'm trying to remember what the last bit of news was.
Spideydude news.
None.
We're taking it away from Ditko news. We're making it
Spideydude news.
Let's get right into the news.
Okay. So I know ASM that they just did a. Hang on, let me open the mail. They did.
Oh, friend of the show, Mike is in the chat. Hello, Mike.
Have we talked about Mary Jane Venom thing yet?
A little bit. No one cared.
I mean, and all the people Like they all
Well,
clapped.
everyone cared, but no one cared.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. I get inundated with emails, and they get put in different spots, and so then I'm like, why is it not in the right spot?
I think we should give Jeff the Landshark a gun.
We know that Miles Morales is going to be the key to the maker or the collision of two universes. So Camp, Ziegler, and Sheriff are doing the Ultimate Spider-Man incursion story. We've kind of talked about that, but they kind of gave us a big teaser. Apparently, it's going to be part of pre-comic book day, which is, as of this recording, next weekend. So that's exciting. All I'm going to say is, Greg Weisman fans,
Be excited, I guess.
Be excited, not only because of the Demona Pre-Comic Book Day issue, but there is a tease for something. So, Spidey's most desperate battle begins in ASM 7 from the publicity department at Marvel. The new era. Yep, the new era of Amazing Spider-Man is off to a thrilling start, launching earlier this month. The new run from Joe Kelly, John Romita Jr., Pepe Larraz promises to deliver to all the classic Spidey action readers crave, all while taking Peter Parker into bold new territory. Today, fans peek at what's ahead with a look at July's issues, ASM 7 and 8. The two-parter is sure to have fans talking as Spidey gets utterly demolished by Hellgate, a brutal takedown that only marks the beginning of the mysterious new supervillain's plans for Spidey, a plot that will continue to ramp up as the series approaches the milestone 975 milestone issued later this year. The Hellgate is open. Spider-Man is fighting for his life, literally, as he tries to keep Hellgate from destroying Manhattan. But what does this strange new foe want? And can Peter figure it out before his day gets a whole lot worse? And then in issue 8, time to die, Spider-Man! The fight continues. Amazing Spider-Man number 8 as the city watches as Spider-Man takes the worst beating of his life. Again? Sorry.
Again?
Isn't this just the same solicit as Kindred?
What can Spider-Man do to rally? There must be something. Here's what critics had to say about Joe Kelly, Pepe Larraz, and John Romita Jr.'s debut issue, which returns to shops next month with a second printing. AIPT says a thrilling new start with heart, humor, and high-stakes action. Comicbook.com says it's everything you could want from a Spider-Man comic. And dynamic doesn't even feel like an accurate enough word for what Larraz does at this point anymore. Comics XF. Check out the new covers and pre-order these amazing Spider-Man issues at your local comic shop today. For more information, go to marvel.com. So that is a dramatic reading of the email. What's up? What's up, Tevia? What's up, Michael? All right. So, Marvel Legends news. The only thing I think that was a note, they did Daredevil Born Again Punisher going to be hitting stores soon. If you've been wanting a new Daredevil figure, it's going to be hitting stores, I think, later this year. Part of a rumored wave that's going to be all Disney Plus related, I think. They've talked about Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts comes out next week as well. You guys looking forward to Thunderbolts?
Maybe.
I'm intrigued.
I'll probably see it at some point if I have like a reason to. I'm more interested in seeing Sinners. That looks like actual cinema. I'm really hoping to see it in 70 millimeter.
Yeah. Then obviously Fantastic Four First Steps this summer as well. Did you guys catch all of Daredevil Born Again? Speaking of. Allegedly, I'm trying to get confirmation on this. So this is rumor only. Put this on
the Spider-Man theme thing?
Yes. So allegedly...
I don't know if I caught that.
I didn't catch it when I watched it, but apparently the Spider-Man theme was played at the end of the season finale of Daredevil Born Again. Now, Vincent D'Onofrio said that it's like a rights thing that's tied up with the TV and I think he's...
Yeah, he said he was on a podcast and said that he basically can't appear in the films, which is interesting.
Just weird. Just
Yeah.
weird. Because they're all owned by the same thing. I mean, well, the Sony stuff I can understand because
it might be a stipulation on Sony's end.
Probably. We don't know.
No, wait, he wasn't into the Spider-Verse. Wait, I'm guessing it's just D'Onofrio's portrayal because Kingpin was in.
That's what I was. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking maybe that specific one is like that's TV only, and if they
maybe there's like a Netflix. Maybe there's a Netflix thing involved.
Maybe. But those shows, I don't know, like all those shows, the fact that they went back to Disney just seems to me like, oh, well, you know, it was all Marvel anyway, because they were under ABC Studios. That was who basically made them. I think Netflix just kind of had the lease.
Netflix, well, Netflix had the distribution rights, is basically what it was. It's very similar to like Spectacular Spider-Man and Kids WB. Sony owned everything, but the distributor was Kids WB, and then eventually back to Vortex, which was on Kids WB as well, and then Disney XD. So could be that. It's kind of like how Warner created what was it, Looney Tunes versus Acme versus Looney Tunes or whatever. The movie.
Well, that's a tax write-off situation, not a rights return situation.
But it's going to be distributed.
Oh yeah, they got like, what is it, Ketchup Entertainment to distribute it for like $50 million.
Yeah,
I think was the budget.
Which, you know, kind of interesting. So we'll see. I mean, it's basically free money for WB at this point. At this point, I'm pretty convinced that whoever's distributing these films is just like some rich guy who likes cartoons. Listen, they make money. I mean, look, the stuff that's the kids.
And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying that like Day the Earth Blew Up and Coyote versus Acme are basically films that aren't really guaranteed to make money. Just by virtue of no marketing, for one thing.
Yeah, but that so Tevi in the comments is talking about similar to Fantastic Four rights and X-Men, but that's a different beast because Disney bought every bit of that IP.
Yeah, they bought all of 20th Century Fox.
They bought the entire studio, so
they own it.
They own it. I mean, that's really the only, unless Sony sells it back, all the Spider-Man rights back.
Yeah, Mike says that Sony can he's guessing that Sony can only use Kingpin in animation.
And I think it's like they have to give permission to Sony because it before, when it was just Marvel and Fox still had like the Kingpin rights, Marvel didn't let Weisman use Kingpin in Spectacular Spider-Man for that reason, because it was tied to the Daredevil rights. So that had he had done a season 3 possibly and gotten permission, he would have brought Kingpin in. So we lost Grumps.
Oh no. Anyways, well, okay, so Tevia's, what about Who Framed Roger Rabbit, who also had, well, I'm okay, this was back before the streaming wars for one thing, and also before
they made
before companies would like burn all their bridges out of competition. And Fox did not sell Daredevil back years ago. He was included with 20th Century Fox. No, he did that's not the case. It was they didn't have anything in development, and it had a sunset clause.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why they did Fan Four Stick, right? Because they only did it for the rights renewal.
Yes,
I believe there was a Daredevil movie in production, but it just never went anywhere.
It didn't qualify for whatever their qualification.
They were trying to have one in production, and there was like some stuff going on. They did have a director, I think, but it just didn't. It fell through, and then once the rights went back, and then basically the Netflix stuff started happening.
Gary in the Frozen says they did Kingpin MTV Spider-Man again.
Okay,
the world of interstudio collaboration back in the 2000s was a much different beast for one thing.
Yeah.
So
that was also another animated thing, though. So
Jess is in the chat. He says that Who Framed Roger Rabbit was an Amblin production and had no connection to Disney or Warner Brothers. And the reason it happened was because of Spielberg.
Yeah, and I was going to say they came together and made a deal that basically the Looney Tunes characters and the Disney characters, neither studio could have their characters appear more. Like they had to have equal screen time. And in the case of, I believe it was the Warner Brothers characters and the Disney characters, it was like a specific era of characters that they allowed. So they couldn't do like modern Mickey Mouse and modern Donald Duck, but they could do like the Donald Duck. That's why Donald Duck looks like he does in the 40s in that movie. So if you notice, like whenever they did appear on screen together, they were always paired up, like Daffy Duck and Donald Duck and etc. So there was like a lot of like hurdles that had to get overcome so that way that collaboration could happen.
So Tevia says these rights issues are super confusing. Well, congratulations, Tevia, because
that's why they have lawyers.
This is why they have like an army of guys in suits with the bar exam certificate on their wall, proving that they are both insane and smart enough to wade into this cesspool of legal chicanery. Or malarkey if you're a Scranton fella.
I don't know. I'll be right back. I left my freaking issue 2 in my car. Just a second.
Okay. Any other interesting news? I can't think of anything.
I don't think so.
Chat, if is there any news you want us to talk about? I'm muting Zach. I think you forgot to mute his mic. Which that pair up was so fun. Are you talking about Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I think he's talking about Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Is Walter back? Oh, Walter's been back for a while. Oops, my bad.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can kind of hear you.
Try again.
Testing 1 2 1 2 3.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay. Daredevil thing. Well, we talked about Daredevil. Funny support strike on Marvel Rivals. The hell is it talking about?
Support strike?
I have no idea what they're talking about.
Are you talking about the game or
The game.
Or the swimsuit issue?
No, the game, I think. I don't consider that companion series canon. Andor season 2. Yeah, Andor season 2 came out. I mean, that's not really Spider-Man related or Marvel related, or it's like barely Disney related, but yeah, Andor season 2 came out. I've only seen the first episode of the 3 that came out yesterday, but it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully to keep up the pace, it's going to be some of the best Star Wars made since Empire. But
hang on, do we know that though? Like it's going to be the best since Empire?
I said it has the potential to be.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I misheard.
Spidey versus Predator. So from what I heard from my comic shop lady, it's actually pretty good. Study says in the crawlspace server that it's also good there, or at least better than this. I haven't read it yet, but I've heard it's pretty good. Someone tried to argue that it's canon to 616 somehow, even though Peter is a photographer of the Daily Bugle who is doing investigative journalism and is in a relationship with Mary Jane.
Oh, it's definitely not 616.
Yeah, it's definitely 616, guys. Yeah. It's like saying, guys, Aliens versus Avengers is canon now. Trust me, guys. My source just came right out of my ass.
Well, this should make you happy, Neil. If that's canon, that means Batman is in the same universe as Spider-Man.
Whoopee! Okay. Mike says that Rob Liefeld. I saw that. Once again, Rob Liefeld is an angry old man yells at cloud mode. Now I won't lie to him. I won't lie. I won't say that the X-Men line is really great. I think the only title I'm reading is McKay's X-Men run, but it really does have the energy of like a man who was slighted and felt a compulsive need to get mad about nothing. I don't know if you guys have seen the posts or anything, but it's basically just him saying like, and my insider source tells me that Marvel's X office is a mess right now, far cry from the place it once was. I'm betting it was at its best when you were there, is what the implication is.
Yeah.
Listen,
we have feet now. We can't go back.
Okay.
I'm not going to pretend that like the X office is in a good place, but like if I asked him what his solution was, he'd probably say make the women hot and like 22 pages of pure action.
Yeah,
I'm not joking. That's probably what his solution would be.
So
And
right.
he's courting a bunch of like grifter, like culture vulture losers to come in on that. Like, oh, the X-Men are LGBTQ now, and that's bad. Shut up. Anyways, let's talk about the actual reason we're here.
So, Michael, before we move on, my Spider-Man versus Predator is actually decent. Granted, it's got gore, but it's Predator crossover. And to be fair, I didn't say it was canon. I said, why isn't this canon?
No, I'm not saying you, Mike. I'm saying in a private group chat I'm in, someone tried to make the argument that this is somehow a canon book. This is not on you. This is not on you, McNulty. This is a completely different group chat that someone.
Yeah, we have like 15 group chats, so there's no telling which one this is.
It wasn't even us. It was like us. It was like a completely separate group chat from a. That's not even like
Greg's meds at the time.
Huh?
Was the person taking Greg's meds at the time?
Greg's meds from last week.
Oh yeah, no, they weren't borrowing his NyQuil. Let's see. Yeah, Tevi is kind of right that neither office. So here's the thing: I don't think comics in general are in a good spot, but there's some competent titles out there. Ultimate's office is in a great place right now. They're 6 titles in right now, and they're doing great.
Although our friend Fitty doesn't like Ultimate, he likes this better. So we'll talk about it.
I knew Fidi liked ASM. I didn't know that they liked this over Ultimate, but we'll talk about it.
I just saw it on the Twitters. So let's get into it. It is issue 1 of the new era of Amazing Spider-Man. So
a brand new day.
Would you like me to do the recap?
Neil, do the recap. I will get the books up on the screen while you're doing that.
So we're going to go through all the variant covers. Okay, so the first issue of Amazing Spider-Man Volume 7, number 1, which is legacy number 965. Why this can't be legacy numbering, why this can't be just ASM number 61 or 71. Good question. They don't have an answer, and neither do I. Written by Joe Ben 10 Kelly, Pepe House of X Larraz, and John Romita Jr. Inks for John Romita Jr. by Scott Hanna, and colors by Marte Gracia for the Larraz segment, and Marcio Menez for the Romita Jr. sections.
So, for the record, the title page, is not until the end of the story. So,
yeah, I actually do want to talk about that. I'm gonna put my graphic design hat on.
Yeah, I know.
Shut up.
I know.
So there once was a what?
I was going to say, why does Peter Parker suspiciously look like Neil? But go on.
I was going to say he looks closer to Tom Holland, but you know. Didn't
I
fluff my hair up one time?
And Tom Holland.
Didn't I fluff my hair up that one time and someone, holy shit, Larraz drew Neil?
Yes. I think
that was last week.
yeah, that was last week.
Listen, man, I have trouble remembering what I ate for lunch today. Don't get mad at me if I don't remember. So there once was a man who said that time is a flat circle. And if you have read Amazing Spider-Man number 546, written by Dan Slott with art by Steve McNiven, that sentence rings truer than ever, because we just got like a whole ass scene ripped straight from that page with a bit more continuity porn. So Tom Holland here is getting interviewed for a job, and it's actually just a front for him to get shit on for Parker Industries going topside or going tits up. And he gets thrown out of the office, and interspersed between him saving people as Spider-Man and experimenting on webs as Peter Parker, he goes through a variety of jobs at different firms, including a startup, explaining like how how would you describe your weaknesses? Basically, job interview bullshit. Interspersed with Spider-Man stuff, including having to run out an interview to go save Bailey, aka Spider-Boy, from like it's an eagle emoji. Is it like the vulture? I think so because he says he's old. So, he gets to run out later in Queens in I guess Aunt May's new apartment. Is this supposed to be the same apartment that she had in the Wells Run? I have no idea. And I don't really care. I'm more just asking questions. So he's with Aunt May, and she's talking about the Real House Husbands of Nova Scotia being on, and the Feast Ladies are going to come over for that in Riesling and Tortellini. Peter gets a call from none other than Rand Industries, which is run by a dead man because Iron Fist has been dead since 50th anniversary special. And he tells Aunt May that he was recommended internally by Brian Naring from middle school. And Aunt May has like a Neanderthal face when he has a reaction to that. It looks nothing like any other face she has in the issue. Anyways, cut to Rand Industries. Peter and Brian, who has the phrenology of an Eastern European, which makes an obvious bad guy. What?
What, Neil?
His long lost school friend George Santos.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, so the facial structure of this man is like an indicator of like that's how you know he's evil. This very long lost friend who we've never heard about up until this point. And it cuts back to a black and white segment where Peter is missing a tooth and his glasses are roughed up, and he's like, "Yeah, Freaktastic Four forever." And I'll talk about this later, Jess. But you're thinking of Naked Shiny Gold Man, not Molten Man. There's a difference.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Peter's on his way to his interview, and I can't get over this guy's fucking facial structure, man. It's like the phrenology of an evil person. So he hears a lot of booming outside, and as Brian introduces Peter, he's gone. He's gone out to fight the Rhino. Rhino's off having a schizo phase in the middle of the street and taking out on New York. And as Peter uses someone's truck to beat the crap out of Rhino, Rhino's heart just stops, and Peter stops the fight and starts giving him CPR. Meanwhile, at Kingsley Tower, old Roddy Kingsley, who I guess everyone just forgot about his criminal past because he's back in like a seat of power. This is a dumb question, guys. How long has it been since Kingsley? 1 second.
Neil is sneezing. Or no, his mother showed up.
He's talking to mom. Be nice.
So I'll continue.
Take over.
I'll continue the recap. So at Kingsley Tower, we have the like mysterious middleman where he's talking to Kingsley himself, and then Kingsley clicks a button, and then we see the Hobgoblin talking to a mysterious person in the shadows that is not named Kane. Then we open to "This is so fun." So, to swiping right on a dating app. So Bree is this girl that's trying to date Randy, and she is like white girl wasted. So we have Shay and Peter on this double date with Randy, and Shay is basically saying, "You're still on probation, big guy." So Randy is like, "Check, please, for the love of God. My bar tab is getting to the point of it being sky high," because God knows Peter doesn't have the money to pay for this shit. Anyway, so Peter then goes and explores the Rhino's apartments when his spider sense goes off, and then we have this big giant splash page of Pepe the Roz, just Pepe the Rosin all over the page. You got Hammerhead, you've got Mr. Negative, you got the Jackal, you got Scorpion, Mysterio, Carnage, Lizard, who suspiciously looks like the lizard from Shed. So you. Doc Ock, Moreland, Chasm, Green Goblin, Shocker, Vulture, and I believe that is Kindred in the background. So, really great splash page. We get the 2-page of the graphic design, and then we get another single-page cover thing, which leads us to the second story in the issue, where it's called Death to the Tyrant. Joe Kelly, John Romita Jr., Scott Hanna, Masario, Marco Menez, and Joe Caramanga is the letterer. We open up Oscorp with Storm and Norman Osborn talking to the shareholders, members of the board, and of course the press, talking about bringing a very quick press conference. Norman tries to make a joke that goes over like a lead balloon or a fart in church. So basically he's talking about like self-inflicted wounds. And since the last upheaval, he's experiencing sleepless nights. Well, as he says this, a man stands up and says that he lies awake talking to his dead wife, Sandra Peterson. You probably don't remember killing her, Norman, but I remember you. And then he turns into a cybernetic being and tries to kill Norman, destroys the freaking podium that he's standing behind, which makes Norman grab the podium and just throw it like a frisbee. And Norman literally rips the guy's arm off and starts beating him in his face. And then we see a bit of a flashback between Peter and Norman talking to each other. He's like, maybe, is quitting really the best thing you can come up with after all of this? So he gets asked what the purpose of the press conference was. He says he was going to resign today, but it seems he has a responsibility to make amends. So, I will atone for my past sins with every tool at my disposal, effective immediately. This is the only mission of Oscorp. So, we then get the opening letters page for Joe Kelly, Joe Kelly and Nick Lowe, kind of talking about it. Pepe Larraz talks about it as well, and then they have a letter talking from Michael Lee Roberts. Pretty long letter. We get the Spiders and Symbiotes, basically the 2-page ad of the Spider Office, and then we get the tease of the next issue, and we get a post-credit scene, which is referencing the stuff I talked about earlier. We open up in Arizona, where we have a heartbeat of the tree, and then public lands and public funds put you here, Doc, but that private school... basically, this guy is doing this excavation, and suddenly this person walks through, very John Romita Jr. like, and the tree, the heartbeat, the hell gate is open. And that ends the issue. So, let's go around the horn. Adam, your thoughts before we
I mean, I think it's okay. I don't know. It's all right. Like, I'm not, it's not, I don't know. It's fine. I mean, it's I think it's better than Wells's first issue. Wells's first issue was just kind of bleak. Yeah. Or at least, yeah, there was like, it was just a big downer. This is at least kind of, it feels more like a fresh start than that did. So it's got that going for it, I guess. I like the art, but I'm not sure I like how Peter looks in this. He looks like kind of like an elf. I don't know, like his features are too like almost like elf-like, and that's usually Harry's deal. So, but I mean, the Spidey stuff looks good, and like you said, that big splash page at the end is pretty good. Yeah. I don't know, the plot's just standard. Peter looking for a job, gets a job. There's a mystery. I don't know. I guess I think the most I'm interested, the plot point I'm most interested in is what Kingsley Hobgoblin is going to be doing.
Yeah, agreed.
Everything else is just kind of like whatever. But I mean, it's a fairly solid start. I think,
Yeah.
like I think it's a better start than Wells. And I think it's definitely a more new reader friendly start than Wells's first issue was. Because, and I want to say too, like, because with 8 deaths, that was basically just filler. And that was whatever. Like, I was kind of checked out with that. But I mean, this could be something. I don't know. We'll see.
Grumpy, your thoughts, sir, before I go to the comments section.
It was mayonnaise. A mayonnaise sandwich, no meat. Is it bad now? But it's not good. I mean, it'll satisfy the need for Spider-Man comic. I mean, it's adequate. The art, I didn't know child labor laws in the Marvel Universe has been suspended, because the first time I saw Peter, I thought he was a 12-year-old. I mean, I was like, that's Peter Parker? I know you guys want DA, but damn. Other than that, you know who the villain is already, because he looked at it, and long lost friend usually means I'm the guy who's screwing your life up. So I wish they would learn how to be subtle. But that's pretty much my thought.
So I'm going to be a lot more praiseworthy on this issue. I loved it. I liked it a lot. Larraz's artwork has been. If you go to patreon.com/Spideydude Network and listen to the Books of X podcast, you've heard me heap a ton of praise on Pepe Larraz. He did the initial Krakoa setup book and absolutely crushed it. So this was a guy that I wanted on Spidey for a long time. So now that I'm getting it, I do agree that Peter does look a little young here, but I do like the subtlety of the artwork where Peter's face has this big giant stripe across his eye because he had a freaking manhole covering him in the face. Like, there is entertainment value to it. I like the little mug in one of the shots that's like you can literally go buy that mug off the shelf. His goblin is really good. And I do like how he was like, well, he could be a challenging guy to work with. What I do like about, and I was thinking about this earlier today, one thing I do appreciate with the editorial run is that there is connective tissue between the runs, right? There is references to the recent stuff. It doesn't feel like just a hard reset every time we get a new writer. There is things that carry over, and I do appreciate that because that's how it used to be, right? So
this, though, I do think though that this is just I just think because compared to Wells, Wells was it was almost kind of jarring because you come off of Beyond, and Beyond was fine except for the Ben stuff more or less, but it just seemed like such a weird disconnect between Beyond and then the beginning of Wells, even though it was kind of the same writer, but it was just because it was the whole black hole of the mystery hanging over everything that just kind of, I think that was what brought that down for me. This is more like, okay, we're continuing off from before, we're continuing with the Norman stuff and Shay and all that. But this is like, it's kind of like it's sort of fun, and it's sort of low stakes, at least in the beginning. There's a mystery, but it's not like this whole doom and gloom thing of like why, you know, what happened there that
First,
everyone
take the
does not
cow
like.
to the killing floor. Hello, boys.
Anyway.
I'm back.
So my point is that, and I, Blasu brings up a good point. Did the Spidey office completely ditch Jazz? I'm going to go through the comment section in a minute. But to me, the reason that I like the Pepe Larraz art in terms of the Spider-Man stuff, especially, like that fight scene with Rhino, that 2-page splash with Rhino is gorgeous.
I agree.
The 2-page splash at the end of the issue, gorgeous. This John Romita Jr. art was pretty good. I grade
Right.
Romita on a bell curve, so
No.
there is that.
But I want to add, I didn't read well. I guess I should be thankful for that.
Yes,
But coming from the dot death and the 8th death of Spider-Man into this, yes, it was a much better issue than the deaths. But there was nothing really to draw me in because it just felt way too plain. Is the best way I could describe it. That's why I said mayonnaise. It didn't have any substance for me to latch onto.
Real quick, I just want to point out that Mike in the chat earlier said, by the way, if you want to know what Shay meant, Google the 9-day rule. So you're talking about immigration law?
Friend,
for who?
watch Friend. Ross was on a 90-day.
Okay, well, I Googled the 90-day rule, and I got 90-day rule as far as immigration law.
But who?
Google 90-day rule with Friend.
No, I don't know.
Googling friends.
Sorry, people in world.
So my point is I am in, like, one thing I do appreciate, because this kind of gives spoilers for issue 2. The mystery of who is Kingsley working for is solved pretty quickly, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I sorry, I'm hopping back in because I had to take care of a medical problem.
No, I get you. They okay?
Yeah, it was just my grandfather accidentally cut his toe, and I needed to bandage it because he couldn't bend over and get it.
Gotcha.
So I gotta be honest, I'm kind of on the fence about this. I think in our group chat I gave it an IMDb 7 out of 10, which is a convoluted way of saying I think it's like a B- C+.
Yeah.
Reflexively, okay. As far as the ASM relaunches go, this is probably. So which ones do we have? We have Mackie.
We have Mackie Byrne. We have volume 3
Slott.
is slot number 1, and then slot number 2.
Spencer. Wells in this one.
Wells in this, yeah.
So I know that saying it's the second best relaunch is like sounds big on paper, but it's the second best. If I can use a visual aid.
Oh man, he's breaking out the visual aids again. Let me blow him up. Hang on. All right, solo layout for Neil as he furiously, for the audio listeners, he's furiously making a visual aid. Meme supreme. Neil is doing it really hard.
Okay, so I haven't finished my visual aid yet, but this kind of accentuates my point, is that volume 3, 2, and 6 are kind of all dog shit. Volume 4 is like post superior slot, and then here's Spencer right here is volume 5, and then like 6 steps down is volume 7. So
yeah.
In practice, it's the least not bad relaunch we've gotten.
Yeah,
because the way I described it is boringly competent.
It's pretty inoffensive.
Yeah, I don't know how did you guys do the recap for number 2 yet, or
No, we've literally just done the recap for number 1. I wanted to let you come back and then we get to number 2.
Yeah, and Mike is right. This is better than Wells is a low bar, but
Sure.
I will give the book credit that it is in the top half of ASM relaunches.
Yeah, it's damning with faint praise. All right.
Yeah. I weigh Pepe Larraz's art a lot more heavily than I don't know if Walter enjoyed Larraz. I know that a bunch of people in who was it? Gary and the Frozen said he didn't get all the hype. As someone who has followed him since like 2015, since Dugan's Uncanny Avengers run, he has been a very consistently great artist. House of X, I think, was probably his creative, like, godlike moment, the closest we will get to being with a god.
A magnum opus, yeah.
I think with that he had a bit more lead-in time. This is Larraz's art is definitely going to suffer a little bit, just solely by virtue of this is a bi-weekly book that he's expected to do for however long. Rather than like House of X, where he like had a beginning and an end set up for him. So there are definitely some wonky panels where Peter has like the soy jack face when he's talking with Shay and her friend. I don't like that Randy's been killmongered.
Randy's new design is weird.
Yeah, does he doesn't wear glasses usually, does he?
It's been a while.
No.
Yeah, he got Insomniac Miles Morales. With like the fade and the locks. I don't get it. But and also Shay's hair is weird in this issue. Like it's weirdly floaty, but it's fine in the next issue.
It grew like several inches.
Well, not even that. It's just really fluffy in like the opposite direction of the way it's supposed to flow.
Look, the humidity hit that day, and
Rhino's spit went everywhere and caused like a 40.
Oh god!
Caused like a 40-degree change in humidity.
Wait. Why is Rhino's bodily fluids causing humidity? Couldn't it just be the freaking weather? Like storm just blew up a storm one day and decided that it was really rainy. Like
I think it's funnier to tie things into the issue that it's already in.
Oh, okay. All right.
We shouldn't have to bring in outside forces.
By the way, you missed my Yaz girl moment with Bree. I totally like acted this top panel out for you.
Is it weird that I don't think I liked Bree as a character, but like I appreciated the earnestness of her character?
Listen, she is white girl wasted and she is living her best life. Like I wish I was as happy as that girl was.
Would you like to hear my crackpot theory? Mike has heard it, but my crackhead theory is that Bree is the mystery character.
Oh.
We all know who it is. We'll talk about it later, but like going off of the hair and the energy around Peter, especially given the established behavior in Spider-Man Deadpool.
See, I haven't read that, so like I am very lost on that. So
that's where the reveal character from next issue comes from. So
I knew that because I mean he says it in the letters page. So
the one thing I really didn't like in this book, and this is what really brings the grade down for me, is the basic repeat of Brand New Day's first issue, where Peter's going through like all the humiliating job interviews.
Yeah,
and that's why I said time is a flat circle during my recaps, because it basically just is the same scene from that book, and in a book that is very strangely similar to Big Time. And I predicted like months ago this was going to be Big Time too. It's weird that like that one scene is from Brand New Day 2. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that Peter has George Santos as a best friend we never heard of until this volume in 60 years of history. I actually do like. I don't think I like him in the next issue, but I will talk more about that as it comes.
I did want to ask you, Mr. Graphic Designer, of the new design of the title page. What was it you wanted to talk about?
So you guys know my very persistent complaint that the graphic design since Beyond of wall of text on a JPEG of clouds was not my favorite graphic design for this book.
Mhm.
And I don't really count Beyond or Eight Deaths as like official graphic design choices because that's just like temporary runs where not a lot happens. Or we know it's getting a relaunch later. This feels like a very solid basic but effective credits page.
It kind of takes some of the stuff that when you had done that design on the show. I kind of feel some of that, like with the characters, the head.
And we get a little bit of that in the next issue.
Mhm.
But I do like that there's a roll call.
Yeah.
It is unfortunately very damning in that it reminds us that there is no more supporting cast for Spider-Man.
Because they all became new superheroes. Anyway,
there's like 5 characters in this book, and one of them is the fucking Rhino.
Yeah.
And I'm sure next issue is gonna have I don't remember if it has Brian. What's his name? Brian Naring.
Yeah. We'll get it. We'll get into the next issue. Like once you get done with this, then I'm gonna go through like the variant covers, and then we'll go to the next issue.
Yeah. What was it? Hellgate.
Yeah.
Did you guys talk about
Yeah.
Norman, Storm
Yeah.
and Norman, and Hellgate?
Yes.
Hellgate. I don't care. I am kind of surprised that they learned a lesson for once from their failures and didn't wait for Peter to have like 50 issues of trying to figure out who the villain is before fighting him. We're just getting it out of the way 7 issues in.
Yeah, I agree.
And also the reveal next issue that basically gives the game away for this arc, which I was kind of impressed by.
Yeah.
It does feel like Marvel learned their lessons, kind of. Shay is very much Carly Cooper too. This is big time too.
Not as annoying as Carly though.
Well, not as meta annoying, because Carly's biggest flaw in Brand New Day was the audience being told how great she is and how great of a fit she would be for Peter.
Yes.
They don't ram Shay down our throats.
And especially having like, and Adam, you can jump in on this. Having just reread like the second arc of like Big Time, that was extremely evident, like in the roller derby scene. And
where they really jerk off Carly. MJ's like in the crowd going, "Wow, she's the one for Peter."
Yeah,
and then like it's really funny knowing they break up like 20 issues later.
At least with Shay, she's very passive. Like she's there, but it's not really a big deal that she's there. It's just kind of like a casual thing. I think that helps. It
kind of reminds me of like Sissy Ironwood, Deb Whitman. They're love interests, but they're not a focus.
So
and I'm okay with that.
I made a statement to Zach after the Spec show, and I'm not sure how it's going to go over here. If Shay was made in the 80s, or like that relatively like late 70s, early 80s era of Spider-Man, and she was a love interest back then, she would have gone over much better. She's a I don't want to say she's a great love interest for that era, but she would have at least worked better there. And I'm not sure, like, we'll never know because of the benefit of hindsight and stuff like that.
Right.
But, Shay will always be fighting an uphill battle to not remind people of the redhead in the room who's also got a symbiote now.
Yeah, for reasons.
And you'll always be constantly compared to the classic model, no matter what you do. So I feel like, Shay is going to last about as long as she's needed to before they decide to inevitably break them up in favor of like baiting Peter and MJ again.
Yeah.
Balasu kind of brought up a point that I made, or about the like they're not exclusive thing. Oh, sorry, Mike added something into the chat. I feel like people need to, one, take a chill pill about like the non-exclusive thing. It's just an excuse so Peter can bang Black Cat on the side and not have any buyer's remorse about it. And also people need to learn what cuck means and stop using the word when they don't understand what it means.
Yeah.
Because Peter is not a cuck for not being exclusive with somebody. That's not how words have definitions. I'm just going to say this.
I'm sorry. It's called dating. Like, you can date more than one person at the same time, as long as everybody is understood that you're not exclusive with this one person. I know this is sometimes a foreign concept of playing the field, but this is what dating is. If you
now, granted, they did make a big fucking stink about them being together at the end of the Wells run, and then that broke apart in 8 deaths. But that is not the same as being a cuck. Again, words have definitions, and that is what holds civilization together. We can't just use words that don't apply in a situation.
Okay, but we also have the word glazing, using it as a means to praise something, and that sounds something completely different to me.
Well, they're kind of synonymous if you like connect all the dots together. Norman's story. You know what? I thought it was okay. It's in that vein of like, it's not bad, but it's also not really great.
It also kind of reminded me of Senator Ward a little bit.
Yeah.
And so there's that.
I love how there's a scene that just like happened off screen that motivates Norman to get back to being Oscorp again.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna get more like
we're gonna expand upon it later, but it is like a weird like off panel like, oh, here's this conversation that we didn't know about until just this issue.
So for some reason, the Marvel.com does not give you the second half of the cover. So we only
it's in the press releases, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll have to go find it, but yeah, the second half has the rest of the villains, which is always really, really good looking. Which, look who that is right there, right where my finger is. Interesting, isn't it? Right underneath Hobgoblin too, like right there. I'm kind of okay.
Also, I just want to point out that the scenes with Kingsley and his tower are really good looking. Like, I know I've said Laura's art is good a lot this episode, but it's really good, especially when he's like given a not frantic layout. I know he does his own layouts, but like when he's given a chance to set the scene, like the imagery in like that establishing shot of his like penthouse or office or whatever, those statues are really cool. I know that's like really like pedantic to talk about, but I really love how
I am all for Roderick Kingsley looking and acting like a freaking badass. And I kind of got that vibe here. Honest to God. Oh.
What happened?
May remove
okay.
it. Yeah.
I think ignoring that it's that Roderick Kingsley is like a known criminal and somehow he's back in power again.
Now,
but then again, the wealthy escaping consequences is not a new concept.
Greg made a point that he got a presidential pardon, which kind of made me chuckle. The one thing that I hate is that there's a lot of development with Kingsley that didn't happen in Spider-Man books, and it just kind of getting annoying.
It happened over in like Spider-Women.
Yeah.
And
so
wait, did it happen in Silk? During like the cleanup of the Goblin Nation arc?
I don't remember.
I know it definitely happened in Spider-Woman with the Porcupine arc.
Yeah. So let me get through the that reflection of Kingsley and the Hobgoblin cases.
Just real into the Spider-Verse energy, huh?
Yeah. So we've got Keifu did this particular variant cover introducing Hell's Gate. This one is Greg Land and
a not bad Greg Land cover? No fucking way.
Yeah. This is Mark Buckingham. Trying to see who he.
No, Buckingham should be a rotating artist in.
I 1000% agree.
He probably will be.
Again, maybe I'm being a crank by saying I'm tired of JR, but there's like an entire roster of artists that I would love to see on ASM and not keeping on like the same artists over and over again. It applies to writers too, but for me, I'm a visual guy. So
yeah, Simone Di Maio did this particular cover. Mimit Malavala. If I'm mispronouncing the names, I'm sorry. There is a version of that does not have the trade dress as well. Yeah. Let's see. We've got Stegman. who should be on but he's busy with X-Men, I know, but I would love him. This is they said this was Keifu on the, or not
on the file name. It says Tony Daniel.
Yeah, Tony Daniel. That's Lee
Bermejo.
Okay, so this is the one without the trade dress. Thank you, because like the website got it totally wrong.
Yeah, that's Lee Bermejo, definitely.
Let's see, make sure I got all that. This is the Gil Kane, Joseph Rubinstein, and Maury Hollowell cover, which is like the classic cover.
Hollowell.
Yep. The bane of your existence, Neil. And then I think that's it. Frank Martin did the Ryan Stegman cover. David Marquez did a cover as well. If I don't find it, there's so many. He
did one for Spider-Man and Wolverine. Don't know if he did one for ASM though.
Yeah, no. This is from. I'm getting this from the title, the page. This, so I'm going through these to make sure I got all the names right. All that being said,
oh wait, I found it. Hang on, I'll pull it up in just a second. Cool.
So
it's on eBay for $8.
They also did a variant cover that's just blank, which is like the convention cover. So, $6. Felt like I got my money's worth for the most part. We'll do grades at the end of the episode, and we'll separate them out. Oh, let me get that off.
That's the Marquez. That's I kind of want that now.
Yeah, that's pretty good looking Marquez.
I'm not gonna go buy the issue just for that, but
Control.
It's a good cover. I'm not gonna.
It's a good cover. He did another cover for issue 2 too, as well.
Did he?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find it.
So, if you like Black Cat, there's a couple of variant covers, even for issue 2.
Weren't there? I'm surprised there aren't any MJ ones because they always do like MJ like J. Scott Campbell pinups as like an easy way to bait
people out of harder money.
Yep. See if I can find it, but I'm not seeing any cover for issue 2 for maybe it's on League of Comic Geeks.
Yeah, double check on that because sometimes they'll have that. The Marvel website doesn't. Well, which one, Greg? Should they release as the
Marquez one? I think.
I'm like Zach. I wish Stegman was. Yeah, listen, give me Stegman. Non-sketchy Stegman on a Spider-Man book would be lovely.
Give him J.P. Mayer as his inker, the guy who's been doing his ink since Venom.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree.
Though it's weird because one of my friends messaged me and he said that he thinks that Stegman's art style has kind of devolved into something similar to JRJR's. So I'm wondering, I don't think that's true. I
completely disagree with that. Now, does Rhino look a little goofy in this cover?
Yeah, but I'm okay with that.
But I mean, like that could have been like
arguably this is a better first issue cover,
right? Because this is what happens in the issue, right?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
I mean, I love that. I love his Spider-Man. Now,
I'm sure he wants to go into greener pastures.
Well, and I mean, he did have a very definitive run on Superior. I get it. So
and Scarlet Spider.
Yeah. But I wouldn't be opposed to him being like coming in for an arc and doing like a big arc, and filling in.
I did some looking. It looks like maybe there no. Okay, so it doesn't look like there's a Marquez variant for ASM number 2. I am seeing Pablo Villalobos, Paulo Rivera, Tony S. Daniel, and a bunch of retailer exclusive covers. So
okay. So, all right, let's get into issue 2. Neil, will you please do the recap while I'm deleting all this off of the
Did we do the Seinfeld bit?
What Seinfeld bit?
I don't think so. Rhino lives in Jerry Seinfeld's apartment.
We were gonna do the to be continued.
I forgot to get the audio clip. You had to remind me on that, man.
Okay, so hang on. We'll do it this issue, okay?
Sounds good.
So previously on Amazing Spider-Man, Peter Parker somehow, even though he hasn't had an interview yet, just started working at Rand Industries, thanks to some help from his long-lost childhood friend we never heard of, Brian Naring. who I'm sure will be important later on. Rhino has a heart attack in the middle of a fight, and Peter goes to Jerry Seinfeld's apartment to find out what's wrong.
It really is Jerry Seinfeld's apartment, though, if you look at it in the issue.
So anyways, Peter is schizoing out and goes on a rampage in the middle of the street. He's hallucinating all of his villains coming to attack him, but he's just attacking a bunch of random civilians by accident. Cuts in between. Meanwhile, Peter and Brian reading porn.
Man.
Oh, yeah.
It is. Don't look at me like that. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they skipped chemistry to read some naughty mags. Really bad when you think about the it released like what?
Keep going, Neil. I'll say.
I was about to say with the Kanye tweet that happened this morning. That's really
Yeah,
bad
boy.
timing.
The less you know, the better, everybody. I wish I didn't. I wish I could delete it.
Gary says Rhino killed Jerry and lives in his apartment now. I choose to believe that. That's funny.
All right, guys. Who bursts into his apartment like Kramer does? Like, which Spider-Man villain lives across the street from Ryan?
Mysterio.
across the
It's
way?
fucking
Like,
Mysterio.
that would. Yeah, I think that would work actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rhino walks out. Mysterio, what's going on in there? My latest heist, Alexi. Maybe Peter and Brian were reading National Geographic. With those hills and valleys they were talking about, it couldn't be anything else.
I mean, technically,
That's what they said.
yeah. I mean,
So anyways, the police have arrived. What a segue. So anyways, the police have arrived, and Peter is being surrounded as he throws essentially a drug-induced temper tantrum in the middle of the street. And it cuts to later where Peter is being introduced to his new boss. What's her name? It's on the title
I don't know.
page.
Yeah, it's like Osmani Milton, Dr. Osmani Milton. I think.
Myra Osmani Milton. I'm just gonna call her Monet from X-Men because that's what she looks like. So anyways, after Peter sobers up, Monet from X-Men gives Peter the tour of Rand Industries, and Peter begins kind of spacing out. She goes, bad science yields, and it cuts to Brian saying, calling HR on you for rizzing the boss. So once again, Joe Kelly's unfortunate tendency to rip dialogue straight from TikTok.
But to be fair, at least he didn't have Peter say that.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that was deliberate on Joe Kelly's part to make this guy feel like some out of touch, like tech bro, fascist, feudal dipshit who talks like he knows what he's talking about. But oh wait, National Geographic did have nude. I didn't know that.
yes.
I thought you were just talking about geography puns.
Like
I'm sorry.
No, it did. It did.
Interesting.
Like if you're studying like tribes in like far-flung areas, yeah, they always were naked.
Oh my god, there's nudity. That's disgusting. Where is it?
I understood the joke, McNulty, but we're old, so it's fine.
I never read National Geographic.
My grandmother used to have it sitting on the
We've got it. I just don't read it that often. I actually read the articles and not look at the pictures. I have the Americas narrated by Tom Hanks for that.
Yeah.
So anyways, Peter is in the Mushroom Kingdom where Brian makes a bunch of fucking Mario puns. Bing, bing, wahoo. And Peter begins having
Mario.
a drug-fueled panic attack. I'm sure that these mushrooms that are very specifically hallucinogens won't come into play at all later on, guys. I promise.
Yeah.
And Peter begins memorizing back to ye olden times in 6th grade, stealing beer and getting chased by the cops. That's some real fucking Bart Simpson behavior right there. And Peter's about to realize he's about to jump off the fucking building. So much like a Wall Street executive last Monday. Peter goes like, oh shit, I'm about to jump. And he gets attacked by the Green Goblin, who's actually just Norman Osborn. He was hallucinating
AKA Willem
again.
Dafoe.
Yeah, he's got that insomniac hair where it's like vaguely styled like the cornrows hair, but not really. I actually didn't know that, Jess. So thank you for that. Live and learn.
Today,
Peter
you
get
learned.
yeah. Norman says you're taking the day off, and it cuts to the Food and Drug Administration building where the Secretary of Health and Human Services is gutting everybody on the floor. Actually, it's Roderick Kingsley with the mystery villain of this arc, who is setting a trap for the character for Peter and blowing up the building. I'm not sure when it started writing this run, but given the current climate of our nation, this is really badly timed.
I did not know it was. I didn't read the sign, but it's funny. Yeah, is this Roger Kingsley or RFK Jr.?
Okay, guys, let's not.
It's the FDA. I mean,
No, we can joke about that. This is fine.
Oh,
so
because
anyway,
you deem it acceptable there, Adam. Okay.
I mean,
So
this is
an- so
literally
anyways,
what
when-
RFK's trying to like gut all this shit, like take the food safety away. I mean, come
So
on.
anyways, outside of Cranksville, Peter is being examined by Norman in his science lab with science tools, and they've realized, oh wait, it's a hallucinogen, and Peter is being told that his mind is essentially a time bomb. It'll burn out of his system, but until it burns out, he's basically...
Listen, I had a recoil whenever the words "time" and "bomb" came out from his mind.
You saw the panel, you saw the slap
I
panel.
thought about that.
I got Vietnam flashbacks from the Clone Saga, so it was it
I
took
was
me.
like, I was wondering if that was deliberate, honestly.
yeah.
And Peter realizes he blew up like 50 Kias. He's like, Jesus Christ, what do I have against them? They're perfectly reliable cars, which would be true. I think that's also really poorly timed because I think Kias have had like really bad malfunctions recently.
No, they've been they've been highly targeted because of their catalytic converters. It's not been malfunctions. People have been stealing the catalytic converters from Kias specifically.
Okay, so I'm gonna J. Jonah Jameson my ass. Spider-Man steals catalytic converters in drug-fueled rampage. More at 11. So anyways,
There's a war between Spider-Man and Kias.
oh wait, hang on. I'll unmute you, Walter. Oh wait, you muted yourself. Oh, hang on.
Yeah.
It says that.
You can't unmute because they chose to mute themselves.
So anyways, Norman theorizes the same thing that caused Rhino to have his heart attack, and he says, "Listen, you need to chill out, take a day off." And Peter says he's gonna, and then Norman says, "I'm gonna pack you some Narcan because I don't believe you." It cuts to Ravencroft, which looks like a fucking gothic horror castle, like it should. Where reject modernity, return to tradition. Peter sneaks in through the vent as a gargoyle says, "You're going to die" to him. And Shay, they're finally using her fucking job for once in the first time since we've met her, is helping Spider-Man get in so he can see Rhino. And Peter's like, "Hey, so you and Peter are dating, right?" And she goes, "I'm not talking about this right now." And Peter hallucinates inside of a cell, young Peter getting chastised by Aunt May and Uncle Ben for being such a rowdy little shit. And he runs away and meets with his friends who goes, "Screw them, man, you're with the Freaktastic Four now." And I don't know what an M80 is.
It's a type of it's like a firecracker.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. No wonder some people didn't like this issue. So Shay's like, "Listen, bro, you gotta get out of that. You need to give me some complete sentences, and you're out of here." Because she realizes that like after Peter's very public tantrum in the streets, Freaktastic Four sounds like a group of gooners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peter has a headache, and they hear a loud scream going through the halls of Ravencroft, which shouldn't be uncommon. I mean, it's fucking Ravencroft, which is like supervillain Guantanamo Bay in some interpretations. They run towards Rhino's cell, and Shay's calling for the trauma team. They slam open the door, and a pile of security goons are dead on the floor as Itsy Bitsy from the Spider-Man Deadpool run is about to shank Rhino with an arm blade. And she goes, "Hey, Daddy, long time no see." To be continued.
I know. I should have gotten the Seinfeld thing. My bad. All right. Did you hear the da-da-da?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Played it too early.
No.
But you tried.
It was okay.
Okay.
All right. So, all right, let me go through I got to get caught up on these damn
Numbers.
comments. Yeah. Kind of a nitpick. But I really wish Hobby would just stay as a Miles exclusive villain. Their dynamic was so good. Given all the variant covers, no wonder this was the most ordered comic that week. I'm Light Zach. Oh, I already saw that.
Get out, Elaine Baines, aka the leader of the Thunderbolts.
Timely. LOL, Jeff Cole.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. I'm not sure if Jess is like being sincere when he says that this was the source of that stereotype, but
Yep.
I didn't know about that stuff. That's an oops on my part. So I'll do better. Hopefully,
I collect spores, molds, and fungus. You know what else is toxic? Can be breathed in like gas, can cause mind-altering effects like hallucination and cause heart attack-like symptoms. Fungus. That is also Michael McNulty. Okay. Can I go first?
This issue sucked. Thanks, Gary.
Ooh, damn, Gary. I don't like the flashback stuff because
you know what? I'm going to go to bat. I'm going to go to bat for it, but I want to hear you guys out.
Well, I kind of don't care about it, but I just feel like we don't need like them looking at implied looking at porn, I don't know. That's just kind of like, okay, like whatever.
So while I've went back and read everything. Okay, Untold Tales. I'm literally getting almost through volume 1.
Yeah, this is a new guy.
This is completely new, and none of it feels like Peter Parker. Peter Parker was the loner. He didn't have friends. I get what they're trying to do here is that he was getting in with the wrong crowd, right? But the Peter Parker in 1963 is not going to be finding nudie magazines. Okay, he's not that type of dude.
Do you think maybe it's them trying to like update it for like is it? How do you call it? The
sliding time scale.
Yeah, the sliding time scale.
Yeah, it's kind of that.
It's kind of that, but to me, it just Peter, even as a kid, was always overly, even in more modern interpretations, was always overly responsible. And if the story, because we're only in second part of this, right? If the story of this backstory is that this helps him become overly responsible, I'm okay with it. But the way it's being done here, it just doesn't feel right. I do love the hallucinating stuff because, like, Pepe the Roz and the Green Goblin, that splash page is.
It reminds me a lot of that page in Dark Avengers that Deodato Jr. did of Norman, like, on the glider flying towards the reader. It reminded me a lot of that page. I thought that was really cool.
I liked the whole hallucinating where you could have used a bomb, where
go do a crime,
where Norman's talking to him and he's like, hallucinations are so fun. I didn't dislike the dynamic between Norman and Peter in this issue.
It's weird that like they're not emphasizing like sensitive like a big part of Wells's run was emphasizing like sensitive Norman and like the redemption arc. It's weird to see them on like a very casual level where they're not like acknowledging.
We don't talk about Skip like we don't talk about Bruno.
I thought, okay, I'm gonna give Jess credit. That was really funny. I'm gonna star that one behind the scenes. Thank you, Jess. Love you, buddy. I do think they're laying on a little thick with the whole. I'm not sure if Brian is connected to the hallucinogenic mystery, but they're laying it on pretty thick that it is. Like Greg said.
He made him look like George Santos for some reason.
He's gotta lie about something. Greg actually brings up a good point that how old is Peter supposed to be at this point? 26?
He's 26, but in the flashbacks he's
Jesus Christ, I'm as old as
he's like 13 or something. I don't know.
12
like in the sliding time scale, Greg is right that Peter would be like in a Lifetime movie, like looking on the internet and feeling bad and then telling Uncle Ben. I'm assuming that's just like a way to get around like the teachers getting a hold of like the internet history or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not gonna go out of my way and say like Problem Child Peter is like the greatest innovation since sliced bread, because it's a very hackneyed and cliched way of doing it. But it's not bad to me. Like, I know it upset a lot of people, but I like the idea that Peter has been consistently a pretty angry person who mellowed out in high school. And this is kind of like his way of acting it out.
Yeah, he mellowed out really after high school. But yeah, I mean, he started mellowing out, then he got bitter and angry because Steve Ditko was bitter and angry, and then Jazzy John Sr. shows up, and he's all suddenly happy days.
And he makes Peter into a Chad.
I'd kind of be pissed too, though, if I had Flash picking on me every day.
Yeah, that's true.
They'll be
like not like and when I say like because the thing is like there's a Flash and Peter are like butting heads all throughout the Ditko run. Like it's it's either Peter starts something or Flash starts something, and that's the thing. But I get why Peter would start something with Flash, because Flash is kind of a jerk. So
yeah, and I want to point out that like Mike said, that Peter
he ain't wrong.
that it's the most obvious way Joe Kelly could have gone about it, but I'm okay with it on principle, not necessarily in execution, but I'm okay with it, if that makes sense, where it's like I'm willing to see where this goes. I'm hoping that it'll lead into an arc where Peter becomes more isolated, either because Aunt May and Uncle Ben bond with him more and he kind of grows out of that troubled kid phase.
Yeah.
Which I'm guessing is going to be covered in at least through the rest of this arc, where like, obviously, like Peter obviously like I'm lucky you're not my parent. Like, obviously, like, being a little like little shit dialogue that'll probably be addressed at some point and like show Peter's growth into like the professional wallflower that gets out of that bad crowd. Yeah. It's I understand why people are upset about it. I'm more upset about the fucking Instagram dialogue coming out of Tech Bro.
See, but I don't know.
Like I
said, when I think about it, it's like, oh well, at least it's not Peter saying this, because that would just be like, because like
it just reminds me of Zemo saying drip,
right? That was
and like
that was worse.
Please,
that was worse though, because like Zemo's like a threat
and like an actual Nazi.
I did think that Peter looked better in this issue, like when he's like tripping balls with his eyes, like in this panel here, like that to me looks better. I think it's
I didn't like that. That one was a little weird. I actually think the panels where it's like zoomed in on him, like where he's like, you can tell he's like having a trip.
That one,
Edward Cullen.
Jesus Christ.
This
one, this one where he's like,
that the Superior Spider-Man #2 face.
Oh God, no, we don't talk about that.
I got a bit for every one of these, Zach. You can't stop me. I'm talking about the panel.
Speaking of bits, before I want to see if Grumps can actually talk, because he's been, relegated to the corner here, just having to be silent. So
Well,
Grumps,
can you hear me?
yeah, you
Check your mic and make sure you have the right
your mic
input.
settings are like, because you sound like it's coming through the webcam, buddy.
Actually, he's going to the headphones.
Oh,
Okay,
Is that better?
yeah, it is
yeah,
better.
that's better.
Okay. I just didn't want to interrupt.
okay.
Just let you go. But
What's the issue?
this issue, I liked it more in the first one
Okay,
because
Really?
it's a lot more set for the friend. Okay, he's the bad influence, and as a parent, that's what you're looking at. Hey, this is Bob. I met him at school. Oh, by the way, we just set fire to the lockers.
For the record, M80s are highly like miniaturized explosives that can be used to like blow nice good size holes if you like buried them, or if you decided to put Power Rangers, the flip head Power Rangers, you could blow the heads off with them. Not that I ever did any of that.
Or scared in the neighborhood cats.
You could be Shia
Yeah.
LaBeouf in the movie Holes. You could just make one big hole with a bomb.
Yeah, not a bomb, just a little miniature little firecracker thing.
Yeah, but that's
Do
like
they even, hang on, I gotta see if they sell M80s.
what the.
But-
Okay, you're gonna get visited by the feds in the morning.
Okay, M80s are an American class of explosive of large, powerful firecrackers, sometimes called salutes. M80s were originally made in the mid-20th century for the U.S. military to simulate explosives or artillery fire. The M is designated by U.S. military convention for standard equipment, and 80 is for the 80 grams of flash powder within it. Later, M80s were manufactured as consumer fireworks and made from a small cardboard tube, often red, approximately 1.5 inches, or 3.8 centimeters long, and 9/16 inch, 1.4 centimeters inside diameter, with a fuse coming out the side. This type of fuse is commonly known as a cannon fuse or a visco fuse, after a company responsible for standardizing the product. The consumer version holds a reduced charge of 45 grams, approximately 3 grams of pyrotechnic flash powder.
Okay, so while I appreciate the breakdown, is there any reason you had? Is there any reason why you had to say it like a fucking 1950s atomic bomb drill warning?
I mean,
At some point, I expect you to say fucking duck and cover.
listen, I was doing it as a informative bit here on the show.
Okay.
If my news anchor voice comes out at that particular point, I'm sorry.
No, it wasn't even a news anchor voice. It was like your fucking like radio 1950s radio guy, like going. That's what you sound like you're gonna do. M80s are a small explosive simulator used by the army.
Well, if I could have done that there and been more like this, that would have been more like appropriate for the time period.
I think that I think that Brian is Hobgoblin's toxic supplier.
Yeah, that guy is going to be making some fun guy really good.
Mike in the chat brings up a point that Peter is always the one who took the fall for Brian's little antics, and Brian was probably the one who egged him on to do it as like a way of fitting in.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. This whole story is very, very formulaic in the sense of Brian was going to be the bad influence. May and Ben step in and say, this kid, you can't hang out with this kid anymore. This kid gets expelled from middle school and probably gets sent off to, or moves away. And he's the
with those glasses, he got sent to boarding school in like Sri Lanka or something.
Or what, or Madripoor.
Oh yeah. Oh, drugs.
Hey. Adam, what is your overall thoughts on this issue?
It's fine.
That sounds about right. It's fine.
I don't know. I'm just not like it's. I mean, the art's good, and I don't know. It's just kind of. It just feels like more of the same kind of. I'm mostly. I think at this point, I'm mostly interested in what Roderick F. Kingsley Jr. is going to be doing in the future.
Yeah.
So.
Give me more Roddy Kingsley because I love it.
But yeah, I mean, it's fine. I don't know.
Like, I remember enjoying Kingsley's appearances in the Wells run, however brief they were. So, like, you know, if it's
All
setting
two
up
of them.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
listen.
It feels like we're getting a bit more to like, he's actually like doing like he's scheming something. It's like, well, what's the scheme? Like, and I don't know. We have some of the scheme, but it's like, well, what's the master plan here? And I'm interested in seeing how that's going to culminate in the future issues because we're getting some kind of fight between them. So,
All right, we ready to go through the?
Well, do we give grades?
I was going to do the variant covers and then grades.
Okay.
So we got this is the Pablo Villalobos cover with Black Cat. You can also get it without the trade dress. This is also the Marvel Universe connecting variant that is done by Chris Caruso. You can also get the blue panel art.
Blue lines, yeah.
Yeah. This is the Tony Daniel cover. And just to make sure that there was not any that I missed, let me see all the variant covers. The Pablo Rivera cover. Let me grab that right quick.
So I did want to point out my opinion of this issue is sort of a carryover from the last one, where it's like, again, nothing bad per se, but also nothing like interesting to say or, you know, storytelling wise interesting. It just kind of feels like by the numbers meant to kind of give Kelly a paycheck for a while.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. There's some fun stuff in here. Again, it's boringly competent, is what I'd say.
Yeah, Dafoe makes an appearance. That's cool, you know.
Yeah.
It's very paint by the numbers.
Nothing bad, but every Spidey comic is the worst thing ever. Hate. Since we've been talking about Transformers, it reminds me of the Hate Plague from Transformers G1.
Listen, I saw some Transformers I was actually excited about.
Yeah, they were football.
They were football helmets, and
everything is football.
Everything is awesome. So like I say, I can't get the Pablo Rivera cover to freaking upload. So
imagine the title of the run should be titled Norman this blunt ain't shit.
So here, I'll just share my screen.
Gary's asking what we think of Joe Kelly's writing.
Boringly competent.
Yeah.
I feel like this is better than I remember the non-stop issues that we read being.
Yeah, okay, so non-stop in my opinion.
I think it is better maybe too than 8 Deaths so far. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not like great, but it's also not bad.
It's decent.
I could probably give this to somebody who's never read Spider-Man. I wouldn't. But like if I were to give someone like a starter run,
yeah,
fuck it, sure.
That's what I was saying when we did when we reviewed issue 1, is that I feel like this is so far, like at least compared to Wells's run, this is a better entry point.
Like this is basically starter pack Spider-Man.
Yeah. Like this is pretty new reader friendly so far.
It's a good cover.
That's a pretty good cover.
I don't think Rivera will ever top that cover he did for ASM 15 back in Spencer's run, with like the sunset lighting.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Tevia asks how long Kelly will stay on Amazing Spider-Man.
That's a good question.
I'm giving him 2 years.
He'll probably be on for 1,000 because he said something about that there are a lot of big plans for that. So I'm assuming that he's here through 1,000 at least.
Yeah, he did say he was on for ASM 1000, so I don't think that'll be like an act. What?
So I'm doing the math quickly.
1000 is out September of next year, 2026.
17. Okay, so 17 and a half months. So 17 months from now is when ASM 1000 hits.
So I'm gonna give him an even 2 years then, just because
Yeah.
No one stays on on a book for
Right now, it's like
Yeah.
it's like 3 years. Well, let's see. Wells was on for about 3 years. Spencer was 4, but that was kind of.
Are we counting Beyond as part of Spencer as part of Wells' run?
Maybe.
mean,
It's still
He
3
was the
years.
lead writer. It's kind of like how Dan Slott was the lead writer of Brand New Day,
Okay.
right? You know, I kind of view it, even though it's like not quite the same, but yeah. Because like,
Yeah.
so we got 30, we
I
got
do
30,
feel like
33 issues.
Yeah. I do
gonna
feel like Kelly basically saw that this was his chance to actually write the title, you know.
Yeah, because what was he? He was Brain Trust, right?
He was
and
supposed back when
Webhead, he was the second group, which was the Webheads.
Okay.
if you read Lowe's letter in the back of issue 1, he basically says, "Well, Joe Kelly had this idea for 8 deaths, and then he said he wanted to because and he's like, oh well, do you have a writer set up and can I do it?" Like I feel like he figured out this is my chance to do it.
I do think like,
You know what?
Imagine that is very funny where he just goes like, "Can I do it?" Like not even like going like with like a pitch. He's just like, "Can I do it?"
So let me. One thing I do want to praise Lowe. He brought back the Spider's Web, which was the letters page name of the letters page from back in the day, and they used the spilled coffee bit from issue 1 as like the part of the cover. So which was nice. So I'll go ahead and read this because I think it is indicative for those that are not reading the book and they want us to kind of follow along. He says, "Hey there, webheads. Spider editor Nick Lowe here to welcome you to the newest volume of the best comic book of all time, The Amazing Spider-Man. We do not take these issues lightly, and I hope that you read what you just read proves that. Every comic has a story, and this comic's story puts a big smile on his face. It's the editor's job to put a comic together, and the casting process is full of super fun and exciting, but also full of pressure. You want to put the best teams together and tell the best story. So every comic you cast twists you up inside, and casting The Amazing Spider-Man is that times 10. When he hired Nick Spencer, he was nervous because they hadn't worked together before, but had a great conversation they had at the Chicago Comic Convention C2E2 that set his mind at ease. He picked right up from Dan Slott's epic run, which Stephen Wacker had hired him for, and that transition was intense. So when Nick wrapped up his run, we built a transitional story that several writers collaborated on between solo writer runs. And he liked having that palate cleanser. So when Zeb Wells told me he wanted to end his run, Lowe wanted to do that again. So he talked to Joe Kelly, and the conversation turned into 8 Deaths of Spider-Man. Early in the process, we were still putting together our thoughts on the post 8 Deaths run. Joe asked me if he'd considered him to take over the book full time. And to be honest, he really hadn't. Joe is a busy guy writing animation, television, and movies for the past decade or so he hasn't taken on an ongoing series, and ASM is like 3 ongoing series. He loves Joe's writing, but didn't think they lived in that world. So when he put it out there, it was a moment one knows to jump at, and he did jump. In the meantime, alongside this process, Pepe Larraz was working on Blood Hunt and asked about what was next. He also expressed interest in Spider-Man. Snagging Pepe took zero thought, as he's not only a great collaborator, but one of the best artists in the world of any medium and at the top of his powers.
Correct.
Lowe had first worked with Pepe Larraz on Wolverine and the X-Men many years ago, and since then, he's continued his trajectory into that stratosphere with House of X and X-Men. And Pepe has disappointed him 0 times, and he races to the finish with issue 4 as we are speaking. So as issue 1 was coming out, he's working on issue 4. One artist that can't do all 24 issues of Amazing Spider-Man per year, and they needed someone to keep up with Pepe. So why not keep one of the greatest comic artists of all time who's already on Amazing Spider-Man? Again, it took 0 minutes of thought, and he begged Romita Jr. to join us on this glorious web of dreams. And Johnny signed on. Where Johnny goes on Spider-Man, inker Scott Hanna follows, and the creative relationship they forged with colorist Masario Menez needed to continue. Marcio, excuse me. Scott and Marcio are so darn good, as you saw in the second issue story. You'll see them next month in our free comic book day offering, and then they'll be back with issue 6. As for issues 2 through 5, Monte Garcia is returning to Amazing Spider-Man. He colored most of volume 4 for us to color Pepe, and Marte has somehow gotten better. He wasn't sure that was possible, but Marte found a way, and we are so happy to have him back. Joe Caramagna tried to get away, but the invisible fence collar that he put on did the job, and he's sticking on the lettering desk for Amazing Spider-Man until the end of time. So assistant editor Caitlin Linsvit, associate editor Tom Groneman, and Lowe get the envious job of basking in these creators' glow and are so excited to bring you on this journey of spider insanity. It's going to be quite the journey. Before we get to other business, Joe and Pepe wanted to say some words of their own, so he then turns it over to Joe. Now,
So
if you want me to read the rest of it, I can, but
no.
but no. I did enjoy the letter from Joe Kelly. I did enjoy the letter from Pepe LaRoz. So go read those.
So I'm not sure how much of the process in here is like editorialized to kind of make, like, you know how in like the Disney and Star Wars like assembled documentaries, they always go like, oh, everyone had a great time, we all got along, and the product didn't have any problems whatsoever, and we made it to production on time.
I do want to believe at least that they had a good time making the stuff. It's just that like probably when they start editing it, it's like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see the assemble on Daredevil Born Again, considering the
but like, you know what I mean? We're like the Last Jedi documentary, where like, you know, like where Carrie Fisher is just like, it's about family, and that's what this is all about. Like that kind of like editorializing. I don't want to say sanitizing, because it makes it sound like some like unspeakable horror happened on set, and everything about The Last Jedi happened after it came out. But the point here is that what was the point of this? Why did we read this? It was talk about Joe Kelly and like the process of like how he got onto the book. I am not sure. Again, I don't want to doubt Nick Lowe. I have reason to, but like I don't want to go into this like saying like, oh, Nick Lowe's a liar. I wonder if ASM has had like a talent brain drain for a while, just because the monthly release, I don't know if editorial has too much control or not enough control, because to me Nick Lowe is like the guy who is afraid to tell someone no in either direction of the pipeline. Like he's afraid to tell a creator no, or a editor above him no. But to me, I wonder if those components keep a writer and or artist away from Amazing Spider-Man. And so when Kelly offers the title, or when Kelly says like, hey, can I do the book for a bit, I don't think Lowe has a reason to say no, only because there's so little talent that's willing to do ASM full time.
My counter argument is this. Kelly's done short things, short stories, right? Mm-hmm. Nonstop Spider-Man, etc. He was a part of the Brain Trust and Brand New Day, so he's having to navigate other people's stuff to write his own stuff.
Wacker's vision, essentially. And or slots a little bit.
Deadpool and Wolverine, he gets to basically smash those two characters together and do what he wants. But he's never got really a chance to dig into and get into the meat of Spider-Man.
Did you mean Deadpool Spider-Man? Because you said Deadpool Wolverine.
Oh, Deadpool Spider-Man, excuse me.
Sorry, I wasn't saying that to be a dick. I'm just making sure.
No. Thank you for the correction. So I kind of get the implication is, hey, I finally get a chance to write Spider-Man, and I don't have anybody else looking over my shoulder. I'm not having to worry about what Dan's writing.
It's just the guy whose job is to
make sure the trains run on time. So, devil's advocate here, I think he's telling the truth, because if you are somebody like Joe Kelly, who is a huge Spider-Man fan and has been beyond this, he's admitted that Spider-Man is one of his favorite characters.
And he wasn't the showrunner for the Ultimate cartoon, but I think he produced and wrote a lot of the episodes.
Man of Action was part of it. I believe.
Yeah. Man of Action was like part of that crew. So I'm not surprised that when given the opportunity, he takes it and asks that his name be put in consideration.
So Tevye, real quick, I just want to address this. Bravort on paper is not in charge. He's currently overseeing the X-Men office, which I think is indicative of the quality of his work, unfortunately. But I wouldn't be surprised if he still has like some say, not necessarily some like sway, but like offers input every now and then, because he's the guy who wrote the Brand New Day manifesto. So I'm certain that there's some degree of his vision being upheld.
But he, okay, hang on. But he was the executive editor during that period. He's no longer the executive editor over basically he transitioned from the Avengers office, which was like, he is at the top of the food chain. Spider-Man, the sub offices, right? Spider-Man's its own office under that umbrella of Avengers. He's now in charge of the X-Men. So
no, I know, but what I'm saying is that that Bravort doesn't have any on paper power.
No,
but I wouldn't surprise me if every once in a while he hits up the office to say like, hey, I wouldn't recommend doing this idea for whatever reason. Yeah, it wouldn't shock me if Lowe is telling the truth here, but like I said, it's one of those like one of the documentaries where like, you know, there's obviously some behind the scenes stuff. They don't want to say like, oh yeah, we fought a ton about these ideas. Like no one on a production pipeline wants to go like, oh yeah, we beat the shit out of each other over different ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it was like, I don't think Kelly was like, what?
Which is why for me, whenever you see a documentary that comes out like years after the fact and they start telling stories, it's just like after every presidential cycle. You get all the behind the scenes meaty stuff right out as soon as the president leaves. You start getting all the tell-all books and all that fun stuff. It's similar in our entertainment too, because
for two issues with like no politics, and we've made a lot of political allegories and jokes for whatever reason. I don't know why.
but my point is that, you know, great example is Life of Riley, right? Life of Riley goes through that entire period of the Clone Saga and kind of tells you that the office atmosphere was and morale was at an all-time low, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's the situation right now with Marvel. I mean, the Rob Liefeld stuff notwithstanding, but you know, the one thing that Lowe generally does is and I say generally, obviously, the end of the Nick Spencer run notwithstanding, he kind of lets his writer do what he wants, sometimes to the detriment of the situation. Well,
sorry, something in my throat.
I'm even going to say Slott. I mean, when he took over for Wacker, he kind of let Slott kind of do whatever he wanted. I mean, that's what got us Volume 4. And you know, Spencer comes in, he kind of does his thing and lets him do his thing, and then, you know, Wells, good, bad, or indifferent, lets Wells do his thing. So, you know, the editor's got to let the writer cook a little bit, but he also has to know that there has to be some reins pulled on him. And sometimes I don't feel like that there's enough reins storytelling wise. And I think that he's the part where he's talking about the pressure of ASM is 100% true. That's 1000% true. This is the most scrutinized book in the entire line because it's the flagship. More than Avengers, more than Avengers, more than X-Men, the Amazing Spider-Man. It's on the fucking masthead. I haven't used my F-bomb today. So
it's the Starship Enterprise of Marvel, where it's like the unofficial tentpole.
It's that tentpole, and so there's a lot of eyeballs on it. And look, whether we like it or not, it is one of the most consistently selling books in the entire line. You know, as frustrated as I have been with them creatively, and I've talked about it on this show many a times. You can go back through the seasons. The fact that we're at season 5 is kind of crazy. By the way,
I do want to point out that the argument of, like, you know, vote with your wallet kind of, to me, feels like well, we know it's never going to not sell, so we don't have to do anything about it kind of argument on the editor's side. because like not Tevye brought up like Bravort saying if you don't like Amazing Spider-Man, don't buy it. Unfortunately, and I have taken that advice to heart multiple times. But just when I think I'm out, Zach dragged me the hell back in.
That Baylor Ross drug you back in this time. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that's how we got grumpy over here below me.
What was I saying? Oh yeah. But unfortunately, ASM, while it's not like the number one book on stands anymore, it still sells relatively consistently well. Unfortunately. So in that vein,
an entirely different office, Tevye.
But is anyone reading it?
Or are they buying? Or are they buying? Is
it an impulse buy to get to the issue 1000?
Ultimate or ASM?
I'm talking ASM.
Yeah, but I mean like oh no, never mind. Keep going.
Is it the collector that's buying it to get to 1000?
Yeah,
that's the question.
So they can sell all 1,000 issues on eBay in like a giant like 20 box.
Oh god, they wouldn't sell it on eBay. They'd sell it at Heritage Auctions because of the first 100 issues. If they're in decent condition, you're not going to sell those on eBay. I'm sorry.
So Mike in the chat says Nick Lowe isn't going to say anything about his own artists and writers, and I do agree with Zach. However, you can tell there's been some course correction behind the scenes. Now, to Mike's point, sorry, I'm going to take that off the screen for you. To Mike's point, you can tell at some point there was a change in Spencer's run. Like they were obviously moving towards One More Day, and somehow it pivoted towards around issue 60 towards Brett Cunningston's past.
Yeah.
And I'm certain that there was like some like as far as the Ben Reilly stuff in both Beyond and in Dark Web, I'm pretty sure that Nick Lowe even said that was his
edict.
Call.
Yeah. That was his call.
But that kind of feeds into my point about Kelly's run in that admittedly there are writers who I think would be great picks for ASM that have not gone on to ASM for multiple reasons. Like I said, the editorial control or like lack thereof that they feel wouldn't be a good fit for them. The bi-monthly or the bi-weekly release schedule, which requires a lot of lead-in time. That's like 6 months of like before the book even comes out, lead-in time.
I mean, we were to be put it on the record again. When I met Romita Jr. in September of last year, he was working on this stuff.
And admittedly, I thought he was talking about 8 deaths, but I was completely wrong.
We did at the time. We kind of poo-pooed that, but that also kind of fits with the amount of lead time you need. Because it's really like you're writing 3 books a month, which kind of shows that the only way they could have done the thrice monthly schedule was the way they did it.
With the rotating creative teams, yeah.
100%.
And to that point, like, Jed McKay has said, I don't want ASM. Chip Zdarsky has said, I don't want ASM. So in Justina Ireland, I don't blame her for not wanting to take on ASM just because of the workload and lead-in time that would require. As much as I would prefer her to be the writer instead of just let's do Brand New Day again, or let's just bring another Brand New Day guy in. Tevye sounds about overkill. What do you mean it sounds about overkill? What the hell does that mean?
Because of the twice monthly schedule.
Yeah, and also the lead-in time provides very little time for course correction. If Paul comes out on ASM number 1, you're not gonna be able to fix that until like 24 issues in. By the time that issue hits stands, you're gonna be like a year's worth of stories into the book, and you're gonna have no time to course correct.
Yeah.
And whether or not that's to blame on like the editors themselves or on the scheduling of the book is an entirely different beast to take away from that. I don't blame people for not wanting to take on the book, and it wouldn't surprise me if there is in that specific section. I'm gonna use like the air as a visual aid. It would not shock me if like there's this massive black hole in the center of Marvel's talent tent that doesn't approach ASM because you get sucked into the event horizon, And then Joe Kelly just kind of wanders on in here and says, "Oh, hey, look, it's the Event Horizon from Invincible. I'm going to jump in there." And Nick Lowe says, "Well, since you're stuck here for 8 Deaths of Spider-Man, you want to stick around for a while?" not necessarily like that, because they were taking Lowe at his word.
Yeah.
Kelly asked to take over, and he didn't say no. But it wouldn't shock me if one of the reasons Lowe was just like, "Sure, have the book," was because of the lack of incoming talent, as well as Kelly being a brand new day guy who's going to not rock the boat.
Right.
And like Mike said, they're not going to shit talk each other in public. Like, that's just PR suicide.
Well, and I mean, again, he would look. JR Jr. was full of praise for Joe Kelly because people did ask him, and he was very complimentary. Now, I don't. JR is not going to be. He's not going to. He's not the type to badmouth people, other than the city of New York. Sorry.
Doesn't he live in Austin now?
Yeah, he moved to Austin.
Based.
Quote, "I couldn't get out of New York fast enough." End quote.
Based. Correct.
But so yeah, I think that he, look, if he had his druthers, he would be drawing Daredevil, and he admitted that. He's like, but Spider-Man and Daredevil are his two favorite characters. So he's like, I get to do one of my two favorites, and getting to do the covers for Daredevil has been something that allows him to scratch that itch. So,
Walter's dipping for a second. Adam, I don't want to force you to say anything you don't want to, but if you want to pipe in, I feel like I've been neglecting my guy.
Neil and I have been kind of filibustering, and it was not intentional, sir.
Oh, I don't know.
Zach and I have much to say, but also nothing to say.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing the book needs to stop doing is the twice a month schedule. I think the schedule is that's the problem.
That's like 60% of why people don't want to get on the book, is because like you don't want to have to work on a book you're not going to see results on for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and not only that, you can't do anything else.
Yeah.
Creatively speaking,
Spencer did like a arc of Archie comics while he was doing ASM and nothing else.
Yeah, he didn't have time. He
abandoned all of his So I was talking about this in the Crawlspace Discord and talking about how Spencer never ends his runs. The only run he did end was Secret Empire, and I'm guessing that's because editorial gave him an ending. But like he never ended Morning Glories, he never ended the Fix. His Falcap and Stevel runs kind of ended going into Secret Empire. And then ASM didn't really get a proper ending because he went to go work for Substack. But during the time on ASM, he only did one other book, and that was Archie for like 5 issues. So it would not shock me if like ASM is so time consuming that it requires like so much lead in time that you don't have room for anything else. Because when Wells took over ASM, he was doing screenwriting stuff for Deadpool Wolverine, but Wells to me feels like a first draft kind of guy.
It felt like he was the first draft on that, and then Ryan Reynolds came in and just rewrote everything.
I do think it's really funny that Vanessa in that movie has a Paul.
Yeah.
And Mike points out it's going to be twice a month until at least issue 1000.
We've been talking about this for a couple years.
Yeah, because Marvel wants to speed run to their big milestone issue, and quality because the ASM number 1000 gets the big hard.
They'd have ASM out 3 times if they could to get to 1000 quicker, but they
realize it would be collective suicide in the offices.
Yeah. Then the creative talent would drop dead.
Well, listen. I mean, they want to put ASM up there. They want it to be their action in Detective Comics. That's all it's about.
My hope though really is that like after 1000 that like it goes back to once a month, and maybe we get
a spectacular.
And like maybe we get arcs that like aren't as decompressed, and
I was reading what book was I reading recently that made me think of like not the Ultimate books. the Absolute Wonder Woman, the last issue
Yeah.
of the newest of the second arc came out today.
Mhm.
They told a whole story in 2 issues. Now, obviously, it's part of a larger story, but like, imagine an ASM story being told in 2 issues. We haven't had like a 2-parter since Spencer left. Spencer did
that's
like the
true.
last 2-parter.
No. Well, Wells did there was the Vulture 2-parter that he did.
Oh shit, I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, he did a couple of those, but not, they're very few and far in between because it's writing
Right.
for the trade, and so that
Ultimate, I think, has been like a return to form as far as like the one and dones. Now, granted, the quality control of those one and dones is kind of inconsistent as far as like how much is getting told per issue with the monthly format, and that's
Yeah.
I
think
kind
monthly
of
format.
I kind of want to bring in friend of the show Ethan because he had said some comments about Ultimate on Twitter that was kind of interesting for me, but
Yeah, Mike brings up a point. After ASM 1000, they'll probably relaunch with another number 1. Yep, that's
Yeah.
about right.
of course it'll be volume 8.
Issue 1001.
Yeah.
You get okay.
So
So
is that the
with-
quickest? That might be the quickest turnaround for a new volume outside of volume 3 and 4.
Let's say Secret. I was about to say Secret Wars. So
Well, yeah, volume 3 was only 19 issues.
18.
So 18, yeah, 18 issues. It's basically one hardcover.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have
I've got all 18. I could probably trade it in for a hardcover. I'm gonna see if they have a hardcover.
I thought they did.
I just want to check.
Anyway, so let's go through grades because we haven't given grades. And so let's do. We're gonna do. Hang on. Making
It's
a mark.
interesting. They don't have like an omnibus hardcover. They do have OHCs for each trade. Interesting.
Okay, so let's do the grades for issue 1. Issue 1 grade. Walter, what is your issue 1 grade?
Well, you're muted for one thing, so
Yeah, you can't talk.
and check and make sure your connection's up on your headphones. We'll start with Adam.
Oh, he just typed in the private chat. So, Walter's just giving up on tonight. Walter's grade is a C. Neil, what is your grade?
I'm gonna go a bit higher. Okay, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10.
So B minus.
It's more like a C plus ish.
C+.
I'm gonna be honest. Giving a letter grade to this book feels fucking weird.
Okay, hang on. It's season 5. It's the season premiere. Do we want to start doing an out of 10 scale instead of letter grades?
That feels more appropriate for this book. Because giving it a C implies that it's like barely passing.
Yeah.
But it's like competent enough that it's like a B minus C plus, but that feels also kind of weird because like giving it a B feels too high. So I'm giving it a 7 out of 10.
Okay, 7 out of 10. Walter, throw it in the private chat if you want to give me the out of 10. Adam, what is your out of 10 grade?
Out of 10, I'd probably give it like a B. So maybe like an 8 out of 10, I guess.
Okay.
8 out of 10 for Adam. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Really?
I really, yeah, you missed part of this because I really enjoyed it. There is issues. I'm not saying it's not, but I would give it an 8.5. I think the artwork is a big part of that for me. With it being a visual,
Yeah. I do think though. I think the art. I mean, the art's good. I mean, I think it's just because it's pretty new reader friendly, like more so than the last couple years. Spencer's was fairly new reader friendly, maybe.
but it was also spending a lot of time trying to fix the problems from Slot's run. Too.
And I'll
Yeah.
be and looking back on it, I think Spencer's fixes did more damage by accident now that I look back on it, like getting rid of the bugle stuff.
Yeah,
But the thing is, though,
that was probably one of the ones that I wish we kept.
the only thing, but he had to address that Peter's doctorate was Doc Ock. Like that's just.
No, he
People-
did, but like, you know, Slot left Peter in a good place as far as a career. And while I
Yeah.
know Spencer had to do it to acknowledge the degree, like the plagiarism storyline,
Yeah.
he kind of got rid of everybody wholesale
The
rather
problem-
than like
the problem with it was that like he actually put Peter back in college, and he had like a couple characters there, and like he was finally gonna get his doctorate like legitimately,
And then nothing
everything was gonna be cool. But then it didn't happen because Beyond happened, and then just threw it all away.
Well, also everything kind of got folded into the Kindred story, so
yeah. But I still think like that if I would hope that like spent a lot of the stuff that kind of fell off when Spencer left, like if he had stayed, that maybe it would have kept going. Because like I said, we get Beyond, and then Peter's like, he's all incapacitated, and then him going back to college just goes right out the window, and then he's at Oscorp, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess.
Now he's doing like fucking Reed Richards, T'Challa, Bruce Banner science. Look at these cosmic physics. I'm building a plasma jet engine, like some like a mix of like theoretical physics and like hard like Tony Stark tier engineering.
He's
yeah,
Tony Stark.
It does feel
Sheldon
too much to me.
He's Sheldon.
That was a conversation earlier today about like Peter's job and stuff. Like,
and I brought it up in the Crawl Space Discord that like Horizon to me worked because Peter was basically making consumer products.
All right,
and then in like in volume 4, by that point he's making like spider cars and like spider planes, and like they de-emphasize like the webware product as like just a cell phone.
Whereas like it was basically the Apple Watch of
yeah, it's gonna poke someone's eye out.
Yeah, Grumpy, are you there?
Well, he's talking, but I can't hear him.
Your lips are moving, but we can't hear you.
Okay, that one didn't work. Okay,
remove that one.
Oh, Mike says volume 8 like 8 legs of a spider. Oh, I get it. Haha.
Oh, dang. I don't know why you have
the 8 legs of Spider-Man.
Hey. Oh, is that why there were 8 deaths? Maybe, fuck, I just got it.
Well, I just got it. Oh my god. So Walter, leave, like completely close out all the tabs and then come back. That's probably the only thing you're going to be able to do, because I think what's happening is there's 2 of you down here, and I can't remove you without like kicking you out. So like completely close out your Chrome tabs. So, all right. Well,
while Walter's fixing that, yeah, I feel weird giving it like a C grade. I'm gonna add a caveat. My 7 out of 10 is an IMDb 7 out of 10.
You got to explain.
Like it's what?
You have to explain that. I think.
Or like a 7 out of 10 is like not. As far as I'm aware, IMDb grades kind of scale differently compared to like letter grades in school. Like
right.
it scales like on a curve rather than like a straight line. Mm. So 7 out of 10 is weighed slightly higher. Mm. Like that's like a Transformers 1. Not like the newest one, but like the first Michael Bay Transformers movie is like a 7.5 out of 10 on IMDb.
Yeah, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed that.
Which is when like in a conventional like 5 out of 10, it's like a 5 out, or in a conventional 10-point scale, it's like a 5 out of 10. Like on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 55% Rotten Tomatoes score as an aggregate, whereas like a 7 out of 10 is like a how I feel it actually is.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, there we go. We did it, boys.
Yay!
Took the whole show.
It was so God. Well, Neil. It was kind of nice not having you in the comments section just shit talking. So your voice was silenced in the entire episode, and you didn't leave a voicemail like sounding like the Joker. So this was.
I can change that.
Oh no! We're not leaving any voicemails this episode.
I can multitask.
Put the hat on, Walter. Put the hat on.
I can multitask there, buddy.
Yeah, there we go.
He's a man of a particular set of skills. If you're not watching us on YouTube, why aren't you? You should be, because you're missing out on the visual aids.
Yeah, there we go. Put that shit on.
I just improved this show by 10,000%.
That was slightly naughty.
Erotic, yeah.
As long as Neil's 7 out of 10 isn't an IGN 7 out of 10.
Yeesh.
Ooh. Why is IGN catching strays?
There was I think it was like a game review they did where they gave it a 7 out of 10.
Oh.
Free advertisement for you.
Oh God. No. She is Venom now. She's no longer Jackpot. You can quit trolling me with this. The horse is the maggots are eating the beef or the horse meat. Okay, you've ground that into powder at this point.
Well,
Like it's become one with the earth.
There's a new character.
Oh.
Jackpot Joyner.
No.
I love how he sounds like one of the henchmen from Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. I don't know why I unleashed this, but I think it's funny. So
it is funny because it sounds like no. All right, so we'll take some final comments. Oh God, get that off the. I'm removing.
okay, hang on. Do we want to give grades for issue 2, or are we kind of collecting?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's all the same for me.
Yeah, I'll give ASM number 2 a 7.5 out of 10. Like a slight increase from like C plus to B minus. Yeah.
Walter,
I'll give it an 8.
Really? That's interesting.
he really liked that.
The backstory with the friend, the artwork was very dynamic. It kept me more engaged in the first issue.
Yeah, Mike is saying shouldn't be Venom J. Listen, Mike, I know what videos you were talking about. I know what pictures you were talking about.
Oh no, I don't want to know. Is there Rule 34 content now with her in the symbiote?
Hang on, I need to follow.
Always has been.
That's correct.
Well, so my letter grade is a 8.0 out of 10. I didn't like it as much as I did the first issue. I guess I'm gonna have to sit down and do like a speed run through Spider-Man Deadpool and reread all that so I can get a better grasp. At least it's gonna have McGinnis artwork, so it'll be nice to look at. Oh wow, Mike McNulty. All right, so what? Any final thoughts, Grumpy?
I blame Neil for my technical problem. I was doing fine until he joined the show.
Oh, wasn't Neil's fault.
What do you say?
He said, other than Neil causing him technical problems, it wasn't Neil. It was you. You were causing your own technical problems.
You need to get a wired connection.
My final thoughts is, I do think, like you all saying, having a bi-monthly book is a bad idea, because if the story's not going well, you have no room to tweak it. You're all jammed up. The art's all jammed up. I mean, I'm assuming, hopefully, like 6 issues ahead. So if something's not landing, they can't fix it. They're stuck with it now. So
yeah.
It should like, go back to just a monthly title. Allow the writer to cook, breathe. Allow the artist to breathe. You'll get better quality of work instead of fast food comics. That's what ASM is. Fast food. Quick,
100%.
Easy, get it out there.
Yep. Okay.
And it's also being run by a cloud, but I didn't say that.
So I found what I was talking about. So Mike, when the was it April Fool's Day? I think that was when the MJ reveal happened. Mike posted this in the Crawlspace Discord. Realizing the disaster they had on their hands, Marvel needed to course correct and save face, which is why I believe when they were planning out Venom War, somebody went, why don't we just make Mary Jane the new host of Venom? She's popular. Venom's popular. There's already tons of fan art of Venom J out there. We can't lose, and thus here we are. My response was to post a picture of Oscar from The Office and say, "What fan art? What fan art have you seen, Mike? Tell me what Venom J art it was, Mike."
Do you think they're going to go with Venom having Peter's personality and he's in love with Mary Jane?
No.
Well, I think that's what they're going for. I think it's going to turn into damn creepy real freaking fast. Have Venom have Mary Jane inside Peter Parker.
MJ, I live in your walls now.
This is Marvel we're talking about. It's some normal ideas don't apply to them. It's more along the lines, how mad can we get readers? So I think that'd be something they will do.
What are you looking at, Zach? You looking at Adam?
No, I was following up on an email. I apologize. So we are.
First time I could talk all night, and he's checking the email.
Listen, it's an email for an interview, so shh, sir. All right. Speaking of, we've all but confirmed it now, but Weisman is going to come back to talk about Spectacular Spider-Man. I will tease something. Definitely get the Demona free comic book day issue. Obviously they're going to be talking about that on Voices from the Eyrie quite a bit. So I think it's going to lead to a new series with Greg and Frank Parr working together. So that's kind of cool. They work together on Gargoyles themselves. So definitely check that out. All right. So as we get to the end of the episode, we always have to thank our patrons at patreon.com.
I fixed the graphic.
/Spideydude Network. Patrons such as Allison, Cindy, Casey, Doug, Ed, Eric, Georgia, Greg, Janelle, Jessica, Joyce, Catherine, Kale, Laura Howard, Lump Moose, Master Draman, Venetian, RJ, Vanessa, and Vicky. Thank you guys for your support as sensational tier patrons over at patreon.com/Spideydude Network. Also, we got our Sarah and Tara Titanic team on the spectacular side of patrons, and then our VIPs, Vinkman and this grumpy guy that participated in the episode, Walter. Thank you guys for being VIPs. Friendly Neighborhood tier, you will be getting the audio shout outs at the beginning of this episode when the audio version releases as Friendly Neighborhood tiers. So you see them up on the screen. Books of X is one of the perks you get. We are going to be recording a new episode very soon, right, Neil?
Yeah.
As I mentioned, we're going to be talking with Greg Weisman more. If you have not seen our other interviews, like with Juan Ferreira and James DeMatteis, find them on the YouTube page. We got Ultimate Spideydude Experience. It's going to be happening next week. Yay!
Yippee!
To round it out, obviously, New Voices from the Eyrie is being actually recorded today. So Greg, if is still in the chat, he can comment further. But yeah, I think they were recording a New Voices today. We got ASM Classics with Javi and Jack. There are some in the can. They just haven't gotten around to getting them edited and out to you guys. So more to come on that. As always, you can find our Vault series of shows like Clone Saga Chronicles and Spectacular Radio over on Spidey-Dude.com and your favorite podcasting app. And, of course, the Sabi Summit Era podcast is still going on with the Maximum Carnage. I think they're going to be wrapping that up in the next couple of episodes and then moving forward towards the end of Sabi Summit's run on some spectacular Spider-Man, well, at least until the Clone Saga, because of Clone Saga Chronicles. But yeah, of course, you can find us on the social medias at Spideydude Radio on Twitter /X, and you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok at Spideydude Network, and then here on the YouTube page. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, why haven't you? You made it all the way into this episode. So find us, if you are listening to us on the audio edition, you can find us over on YouTube at Spideydude Radio Network. And of course, if you want to be like Walter and leave voicemails, you can always leave a voicemail at 818-923-6631. It is the voicemail line, not just for the show, but all of the shows on the Spideydude Radio Network. Just state your name and what show you're calling about, and that will be played on the respective shows. So thank you guys for your support as we get to season 5. I am excited about this particular era. And So you'll see some different things coming very soon. I've got some stuff that I'm working on. I just got to sit down and work on them more. I know we got some stuff in the can. Neil has got some stuff in the can too. So we'll get around to it. We'll get around to it very soon. And thank you guys for watching. If you're watching us live here on YouTube, or if you're listening to us after the fact, thank you for listening. And we'll see you next time here on the Spideydude Radio Network.